What's up, friends? Today we are checking out the album Guts by Olivia Rodrigo. I'm a massive fan of Olivia Rodrigo's first album, Sour. At the time it came out, I turned to my girlfriend at the time and I said, "Man, isn't this album so good?" And she's just like, "It just feels like a bunch of teenage angst to me." And I said, "You don't understand my feelings." And obviously she didn't, because we're not together anymore. But I'm sure this one will be more full of that teenage angst that I love. I love her like emo girl style with like some, femme empowerment with some, riot girl rock. It's all good. It's all so good, and I'm excited for this one. We're looking at this song from the perspective of a producer and songwriter, as we will with all the songs. So expect pauses. We're going to go over elements. It's going to be a good time. I really love these acoustic guitar layers, these vocal layers that keep building on top of each other with these nice little harmonies. Interesting. It's fast still. Oh. I love that switch up going from like this really hard rock back to that acoustic music. Slamming, jamming, just so good. I'm sexy and I'm kind. I'm pretty when I cry. I love just the switch ups in this song. We go from, this really pretty acoustic vibe to this just hard rock, just riot girl stuff. I like what they do with her vocals between those different sections. They get really sweet tones out of her vocals for those kind of verse sections, and then for those harder sections, they've got a bunch of distortion on her vocal. They're doubling her vocal. They're getting more of like a yell out of her voice. Really like the tones that they're getting out of the electric guitars. Sounds super riot girl, which is really cool. I like that blend of kind of this soft acoustic ballady type thing with the riot girl rock. It's so juxtaposed in such a fun way. Yeah. Also, I love the ending of this song. I love the sweet little harmonies and how just peaceful it feels. It's just like this nice, easy, peaceful ending. And I love that contrast that she sets up with the expectations that America has in the lyrics with what she's doing in the song itself. With that juxtaposition she has, it's the same thing on those like satirical expectations that America has. So good. Great song. Great opener. I love it. It really gets me like excited for the album. Bad Idea, Right, is next up. I love that pre-chorus. I love how it builds up. I love that just stacking of harmonies, how they get even more and more intense, and there's just like this really sweet tone of her vocal. Again, that juxtaposition back and forth, so good. Into his bed. Now I'm getting in the car, wrecking all my plans. I know I should. I love tripped and fell into his bed. That is such a great lyric. That is so fun. Oh, I love it. I love it. Love it. That is such a great song. Oh my goodness. I love how that guitar solo has like that garage rock, like Jack White type of vibe. It's so just visceral and intense. I love the tones they got out of it. So cool. Oh, and the song is so clever. I tripped and fell into his beds, and then like I only see him as I friend, the biggest lie I've ever said. It's just brilliant. It's so cool. And the songwriting itself is so interesting. And the length of that pre-chorus, like that pre-chorus is so long. There's so many interesting like sections. It's almost like they have two pre-choruses in this song, because they have that sweeter one, and then they have that grungier one where they have like that distortion guitar filter on her vocal that sounds so good. This juxtaposition and this sweetness is so cool, and it's something we really went for on our latest album from Jack Birds Aren't Real, where we have like these screams just happen in the middle of a dance song, and I think she gets that too, that fun of just randomly getting really, really intense during a song. I think it's so cool. Okay. Vampire's next on. This is a hit. I've heard it before, but I haven't really paid like close attention to it yet. I've been busy. I'm a busy man.
Sunk your teeth into me, bloodsucker.
I really like how they build into that section, how they have like more chaos going on with like these interesting synths and stuff until they drop away and it gets into the proper chorus. It's really cool. It's obviously going for some driver's license vibes too on this song.
Never will, and for me and not her. 'Cause girls your age know better.
I love the build-up percussion, but I also love that line, girls your age know better. Ooh, that is shade. That's such good shade.
You said it was true love, but wouldn't that be hard? You can't love anyone 'cause that.
Love it. Such a great song, such a great hit. Very much like going for the sound of her first album. I feel like this is almost like a transitionary song, like letting people know, hey, you remember that vibe I was going for my first album? That's still me. I'm still that person. Here's this song that connects you between these two albums. Also, I love the bridge section of this song. It's so rocking and it's so fun. That piano is so rock. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the early rock and roll artists were piano players, you know, like Fats Domino, Little Richard. And it's so cool to hear her implementing that piano style from before. Also, the writing on this album has been so clever and so good. I love how effective Olivia Rodrigo is in both lyrics and vocals at conveying her emotions. Like, I feel what she is feeling. I am pissed off at this guy. I don't know this guy, and I'm not into guys. I don't know Olivia Rodrigo, but I feel her pain, and I'm like, yeah, screw that guy. What did he think going after me? I'm way too young for him. Also, like, just screwing around with me, manipulating me, making me feel like I'm naive. Like, what a gaslighter, what a vampire. Like, screw that guy. I love it. I love it. I love the emotions I get to feel through her. It's so good. Lacey is next up. Lacey.
Puff pastry, aren't you the sweetest thing on this?
I love how playful and fun the lyrics are in this song. They give me really like MCR vibes. Like, I don't know if that's a weird comparison, but it feels right to me, you know? I love how often the production plays with this like building reverb and kind of building harmonic identity. They use that automation to really like grow it into like different sections. Something they're using a lot. It's a really cool trick. I like it a lot.
Buys my rotten mind and how much it worships you.
I love how just crazy and unhinged those lyrics are. They're so great. Oh, they're so fun. I love that last little refrain about like, you know, how jealous I am of you and how much I loathe you, to like how much I worship you and how much I want to be like you. It's so conflicted and it's so interesting. Oh, what a complex emotion. I love how sinister her vocals sounded throughout of that. Like it felt like she was talking through her teeth, you know? She's just really angry in her singing voice. It's phenomenal. So good. Digging it. Can't help but dig it. Ballad of a Homeschool Girl. Love that little stop. It's social, stop, suicide. Great. So good. And there's also so many clever lines in this.
I guess that he was making out with boys the whole night. Everything I do is tragic. Every guy I like is gay.
Everything I do is tragic. Every boy I like is gay. The storytelling that sets up to that complaint is great, and it's so good. I love the bass tone on this too. Can't think of a third line. That's such a great line. I love that so much. And then the la 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 right after that. Like, I couldn't think of another line here, so I'm just saying la. Brilliant. Also, love that kind of bridge section where everything drops away. She goes into her falsetto. She gets a little more breathy. And everything kind of like drops away to kind of showcase that side of her vocal, and then you get right back into that distortion, into those doubling of vocals, and that kind of classic Olivia Rodrigo sound we expect from her records. Her records are just so good. Like, I feel like they do such a great job on her recordings. And I love how into this rock atmosphere they are getting in this album. It's very cool. I like the bass tone on this. I like the really noisy guitar tone. Yeah, everything is great. And the stuff they get out of her vocals is wild. It's so good. So it has so much personality. There's so much personality in like every word. And the lyrics are so clever. Social Suicide also would have been a great name for this song, but I understand why they didn't name it that. Ballad of a Homeschool Girl works too, because it's kind of like when you listen to the song, you're like, oh yeah, homeschooled people, they have some social troubles because they haven't had as much experience with people, and it just fits. It's so clever. Making the Bed is next up.
Victim so well in my head, but it's me who's been making the bed.
I love the idea of this chorus of just like, I'm done being a victim, and I'm like gonna look at myself, like look at the person in the mirror, you know. But it's also a little like self-defeatist and sad, so it's interesting. It's complex.
My life feels so out of control. Not tell someone I love them, just as a distraction.
It's so interesting to me how spaced out the drums are. Like, it's like the drums are in halftime while the vocals are in standard time, you know? Because their vocals are going so fast and they're understanding this thing, but the drums are just like boom, boom, like just so slow and so brooding. Love that guitar solo on this song. Love just like the really fuzzy tone they had for the guitars in general on this song. Very visceral, very rock, you know? Also, her lyrics are so interesting. They're describing this really complex emotion, you know? And doing it very well. It's like an anti-victimization song that's still super vulnerable. So it doesn't like come off as preachy because she's so good at the same time saying, I feel terrible because of this, because I do see that these things are my fault. Yeah, it's such an interesting little juxtaposition. I love like taking responsibility for actions. And that's what this song's kind of about, you know? Yeah, and breaking out of like other thoughts, but it's sad that it goes in the negative direction, you know? I feel like when I try to make music, I try to end it in a more positive direction, but it is really interesting that it doesn't go there. It's just expressing that emotion. It's cool. Logical's next up.
No love is never logical.
I love how those strings build in toward that end of that chorus, just like a ton of reverb on them, and just really like pizzicato-y, very plucked. And then it builds and builds, and then it cuts off.
You did to me. You lied.
I love how high and belty she gets, and this immediately switches to just like a really low, growly tone. It's so cool. I love that contrast.
Then I stop it all. Logical. Love is.
Okay, I read the songwriting on this one, and it all made sense, because I was like, this doesn't sound like an Olivia Rodrigo written song, and it's not. It's a Julia Michaels song, which totally makes sense, because Julia Michaels is a phenomenal songwriter. But the performance that Olivia Rodrigo gives of this song is really, really strong. I love how they draw from all of these different genres for this music, you know? She's taken like really intense vocalization from rock and making her vocals sound really, really emotional. And then she's grabbing stuff from like folk rock and like alt rock and more folksy stuff where it's more of like an emotionless, straight vocal. And it really sets up that sad pain because you have this like rapid contrast. You know, it's like she's grabbing from Lana Del Rey and Florence and the Machine at the same time as grabbing from like these really angry emo artists. And I love that. It's so cool. We really try to do that same thing with Jack Jack, where you just take from all these different genres and blend them together in a fun way. So Get Him Back is next up.
Another song, another club, another bar, another dance. And when he said something wrong, he just fly me to France.
On that verse, I really like how they're having two vocals, one in the left and one in the right ear, saying the same thing. And it's a really like spoken word type of verse. Sounds great. I love this idea of wanting to get back with a really toxic lover. That's such a relatable topic. I've experienced that. You know what I'm saying? It's so cool.
I wanna break his heart and be the one to stitch it up.
It's so interesting to express this toxic desire. I think that's something Olivia Rodrigo is so good at accomplishing is saying something that is so incredibly toxic. Like, I want to kiss him with my fist. Like, I want to kiss him with an uppercut. Such a great line. I want to break his heart and then be there to knit it back together. Like, just an insane expression of desire. I love insane expressions of desire. I love just doing toxic lyrics. I love the description of him as this incredibly toxic individual who cannot stick to monogamy. Just says it, but just is not actually believing it in any way, shape, or form. Man. Good song. Good song. Yeah, makes me want to go back into the writing process and write more toxic songs, because I did it for a while. I wrote a whole album called Giovanni that's all about just super toxic relationships, and everything is incredibly toxic in it. But I haven't done that in such a long time, and it's so fun. It's so interesting. I love it. I love expressing toxic desires because we all have them. We all want to do toxic things, but we don't always do them, you know? Love is Embarrassing next up. For some reason, this chorus gives me really late 90s, early 2000s rock vibes, like that post-grunge type of era, and I love it. It's so cool. That give up, I'll give up everything. Like, it's just so fun. It's so insane. It's so unhinged. It's so great. I love this commitment to going off of pitch for a second in a really creative way to express the emotion. The overblown toxicity is so great. This might be my favorite song on the album, honestly. It's so good. And the expressions, the situations and storytelling in this song is great. Just you can picture it, you know, her comforting a guy because his ex-girlfriend is with a new guy, and she's just like, what am I, like, she gets super angry about it, when in reality she thinks about it and she's like, this guy's not worth my time. I swear he's not worth my time, but she keeps wanting to get into it. And putting that against this really poppy, fun background with all these really emotive vocalizations. So good. Grudge next up.
I'm so tough when I'm alone, and I make you feel so guilty, and I fantasize about a time you're.
Her vocals just breaking apart in this second verse. It's still maintaining pitch, but it sounds so vulnerable and broken, and I'm such a fan.
I say that I'm fine, but you know I can't let it go. I've tried.
I didn't pay as much attention to the lyrics as I should have on this song because I was so captivated by the performance and the sounds that they captured throughout this song. Really liked those belts on the bridge and just the general sound of a piano, like a live piano, when you capture the pedal moving, when you capture those little creaks. Gets me going. Ever since I've recorded an actual piano, I just can't go back to using a virtual instrument version of a piano just because I've fallen in love with the sounds, the little creaks, the little way that a piano just sounds so different in a live recording setting. Pretty isn't pretty. I like the synth build with that melody when pretty isn't pretty enough. It's really pretty, really well done. Not pretty. I like how that verse builds into this next chorus, like explaining how this self-defeatist attitude is in everything she sees, and how that vocal is so much drier than that kind of built doubled vocal into that chorus. Like the song, kind of an easy-going soft rock feel while expressing this really intense emotion about not feeling like self-image can live up to what it should be. A little bit of body dysmorphia going on there for sure. Teenage Dream is next up.
Are you gonna stop being great for my age and just start being good?
Okay, I love something she just said, which was, when am I going to stop being great for my age and just start being good? I think Olivia Rodrigo is already good. There's nothing for her age or anything. She's just a really great artist. But I love that expression because I hear it so much in the music industry, and people are like, wow, she's so good. I'm like, she's not that good. They're like, well, she's only 15. I'm like, I don't give a dump how old she is. She should be, like, if she wants to compete in the music industry, she's got to live up to the same standards as everyone else, you know? Like, let's stop saying, like, good for her age. Let's stop discriminating with people based on their ages. Like, that's such a toxic way of thought. I hate it. It's so weird. I like how she communicates the other perspective in this song with harmonies. So it's almost like the harmonies are representing this other perspective. So having a change up in vocals to express the different perspectives. So good. In general, I don't love when artists have these type of artist songs that are like, I'm complaining because I'm successful. I feel like it's a hard thing to relate to for most people because most people aren't experiencing this ridiculous success that these people are. But I think this one is done well and it's done tastefully. I like it's at the end of the album because there's kind of this expectation on her going into Guts of like, Sour was really great. How are you going to repeat that? And I think she did a phenomenal job, but you've got to have that fear, and addressing it is interesting, and she did it in a cool way, and it was a great song. So, I mean, it works for what it is, and I think taking it to that place of, you know, feeling like your best work is behind you and that you're aging out of something and that you're not going to be able to experience the same happiness that you did earlier in life, like that grass is always greener toward nostalgia, is something that a lot of people can relate to, even if they can't necessarily relate to it in her specific circumstance. So I think it was well done. Cool album. I really like Guts. I don't know if there's like a favorite between this and Sour. It's not more of the same. It's definitely more leaning into that rock genre, straying a little bit away from the pop in the right ways. Like, it's so good. I'm excited about it. It's one of my favorite albums of the year, just based off of first listen. I'll have to understand it more to see how much I like it, but it's really, really good. Really into Guts. Great piece of music. Nailed it. Created such a great little niche for herself in terms of branding and in terms of musicality, in terms of expression. Her vocal expression of emotions is so strong and it's so unhinged at times. And yeah, you could call it teenage, but in the end, it's just this love of toxicity that I really like, and the understanding of that kind of tongue-in-cheek thing about how insane some of these desires and these emotions are, but we're experiencing them. And that overblown quality is so emo to me. So I don't see it as childish, I see it as emo. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Hope I was able to make this album sound better to you. Also, would love it if you just told one person about my videos here. Word of mouth is the best way for creative endeavors to spread. Really appreciate it if you checked out my music. Here's my album, Bashing My Head Through a Wall, with my band Jack Jack. Got a lot of music on my channel, honestly, so if you ever want to just explore that, I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Catch you on the flip.